Hello, Townships, and welcome back to the 13.8 report brought to you by the Ohio Township Association. I'm Kyle Brooks, OTA Director of Governmental Affairs. Today, we're taking a closer look at a proposed constitutional amendment that would eliminate all property taxes statewide. We will walk through how we got here, what the amendment would do, and what the potential consequences could be for townships. As we discussed in last week's episode, townships have very limited funding options, making property taxes the backbone of their budgets. Here is a quick refresher. Property taxes come in two forms. Inside millage, unvoted and capped at 10 mils statewide, shared across local governments. Townships typically receive a small portion, usually 1.5 to 2.5 mils, used for general operations, road work, and in some areas, local health districts. Outside millage requires voter approval and funds essential services like roads, fire, EMS, and police. Due to state law, these levies are subject to reduction factors to prevent inflationary tax increases. In recent years, many property owners have seen significant spikes in their property taxes. When you combine rising valuations with an increasing number of ballot issues, economic developments, and mega projects, tax abatements, inflation, and supply chain issues, it creates a perfect storm for higher taxes. That growing frustration is what sparked the proposed constitutional amendment. Each property in Ohio is assigned an appraised or market value by the county auditor. Real property is taxed at 35% of that value or taxable value. These valuations are updated regularly through a rotating schedule. Every county undergoes a triennial update in the third year to reflect current market conditions, with a sexennial reappraisal every 6 years. As a result, about 1/3 of Ohio's counties are updated each year. Citizens for Property Tax Reform, the grassroots group pushing the amendment, has the goal of eliminating what it sees as an unaffordable system that is placing increasing pressure on homeowners. So, what would the amendment actually do? The proposed amendment would add Section 14 to Article 12 of the Ohio Constitution. The language is straightforward. It would abolish taxes on real property and prohibit any future taxes on real property. Real property includes land itself, all growing crops therein, and all buildings, structures, and improvements permanently attached to the land. The amendment would go into effect on January 1st after it's passed. Most importantly, the amendment does not propose a replacement for the revenue currently generated by property taxes. There are no alternative funding mechanisms included in the proposal, nor is a transition plan outlined. So, where are we in the process? Under Chapter 3519 of the Ohio Revised Code, citizens can propose constitutional amendments through the initiative petition process. This entails multiple steps. The Ohio Secretary of State has a resource page that explains the process from start to finish, and we'll link that below in the description. Here's what happened so far. On May 1st, the group submitted the proposed amendment language to the Ohio Attorney General. The Attorney General certified that the title and summary is fair and truthful. On May 14th, the Ohio Ballot Board certified it as a single constitutional amendment. The group is now in the signature gathering phase. To qualify for the ballot, they must collect valid signatures equal to at least 10% of the votes cast in the most recent gubernatorial election, which amounts to just over 413,000 signatures from registered Ohio voters. These signatures must come from at least 44 of Ohio's 88 counties. And in each of those counties, signatures collected must total at least 5% of the last gubernatorial vote in that county. Constitutional amendments in Ohio can only appear on general election ballots. To qualify for the November 2025 ballot, petition signatures must be submitted to the Secretary of State's office by July 2nd, 2025. The Secretary of State will then check those signatures and determine if the petitioner satisfies the signature requirement. If not, the petitioner gets an additional 10 days to gather more signatures. But there is no requirement stating which ballot the amendment must appear on. Signatures can be collected on a rolling basis, meaning so long as the petitioner doesn't turn in the petition to the Secretary of State, they can bank signatures to place the issue on a future general election ballot, such as November 2026. I cannot reiterate this more. This proposal is a major concern for Ohio's townships. Property taxes are the primary revenue source for townships. Unlike other local governments, townships do not have the authority to levy income or sales taxes. And this isn't just about townships collecting unnecessary tax revenue. Township levies are voter approved and tied to specific services, such as fire departments, road maintenance, cemetery upkeep, and police services, just to name a few. In the May 2025 election, there were 131 township levies on the ballot. Only 9 were for general funds. The remaining 122 levies were for specific essential services. Eliminating the property tax structure with no identified funding replacement would leave townships unable to meet even the most basic service obligations, and there would be a massive service gap for residents. So let's look at the bigger picture. In tax year 2022, property taxes generated $17.2 billion statewide. Ohio's 1,308 townships received approximately $1.2 billion of that, meaning $16 billion went to other jurisdictions. In fact, 60 to 75% of property taxes statewide go to schools. As the state grows economically, property values do increase, but those increases don't happen in a vacuum. Instead of reforming the system with adjusting exemptions, credits, or the valuation practices, this proposal eliminates the system entirely with no backup plan in place. Meanwhile, Ohio's townships are mandated by law to provide services. With property taxes, township funds the daily necessities that residents depend on, such as maintaining over 41,000 miles of road, operating 2,400 cemeteries, providing fire and EMS, enforcing zoning, caring for parks, providing police protection, water, sewer, wastewater, and trash services, and much more. If this amendment is passed in November 2025 and takes effect January 1st, it gives just 1 month for the General Assembly to figure out how township residents will receive basic, necessary, quality of life services. And again, unlike other local governments, townships only have property taxes to fund services. At this time, the OTA Board of Directors has not taken an official position on the amendment. Historically, the OTA has opposed any measure that eliminates a funding source without offering a viable replacement. The board is meeting on June 6th and will discuss this matter. In the meantime, the association is convening a work group with other jurisdictions that rely on property tax revenue to evaluate the full impact of this proposal. In fact, Governor DeWine even expressed that in a perfect world, we wouldn't have taxes, but that's not the world we live in. Eliminating property taxes without a responsible, well-defined alternative would leave townships with no path forward. It would gut local services, jeopardize public safety, and create an unsustainable future for Ohio's 1,308 townships. And that's your 1308 report on the proposed constitutional amendment to abolish property taxes in Ohio. For more information, visit our website and subscribe to the OTA's legislative alerts. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay connected. Thank you for all you do for Ohio's townships, and we'll see you back here next week on the 1308 Report.